The state that I come from has like over 50 dental schools. I can actually tell you that I was making $55 a month per month in pay as I graduated. Probably had $1 million of debt even before I got started. So we've been spending a lot of time on our playbook in the last year or two. You could make $1 million, but if your expenses are 1 million, you're poor, right?
Good afternoon, good evening to those that are in different time zones. We just want to welcome you to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We have today with us Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj, who's going to come with us with just a host of information. Doc, thank you so much for joining us today. Uh, the first question I have to ask you, what is it that got you interested in dentistry?
Ward, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's truly a pleasure, and I'm really excited to dive in with you and talk real stuff that the industry sometimes talks about, sometimes doesn't. So I can dive in with how I got into dentistry. I was I actually wanted to end up in medicine back in the day. I always thought that I'll end up in medicine when I was about 16 or 17. I grew up in India, so in India you go straight from high school to professional school, either
Yes.
medicine, dental school.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to college.
Okay.
And one of the things I got into a medical school, but I grew up in a big city called Bangalore, and it was
Okay.
a party city. And the medical school that I got into was rural and it was pretty far. So it was either me going rural for 5 years or being in the party city that I grew up in and going to dental school. Right. So that's kind of how I landed in dental.
Okay. All right. I think that was a good choice.
I also have
So,
an uncle in
uh,
India who was a dentist who was an inspiration growing up. Uh,
oh, okay.
yeah, he practices still practices in India, and that's also another reason that dentistry
Oh,
chose me.
that's interesting because then at 23 years old, your family decided to help you get to America.
Right.
And tell me about the school thing, because I mean, did you have to start all over in some areas? And how did that feel? How did that make you feel? Because at 23, you're almost done over there in India and probably practicing. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you for asking me that question. That question is very close to my heart because it's how I kind of got started in America. This is a long story, but I'll try to really condense and make it short for the
Take
sake
your
of
time.
time.
Yeah, we have
Um,
time.
So I graduated when I was about 23 in India. It's a 5-year program, started at 18. At 23, I was a dentist. I was a young dentist, kind of knew, kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. What I knew was that I wanted to do more with my life. So I tried to get a job and I tried to, the city that I come from is a very competitive landscape for dentistry. Just to put things in perspective, the state that I come from has like over 50 dental schools, and over 25 of them are in the city that I come from. So the city churns out 6 to 7 thousand dentists every single year, which is
Oh,
a lot of dentists, right?
yeah,
Dentists are a dime a dozen.
yeah.
And I tried to get jobs. I interviewed in 15, 20, 30 different places. And what I found was you had to work really long hours. You would start at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. in the morning. You work till like 2 p.m. You close for lunch. Everybody closes for lunch there from 2 to 4. And you go back at 4 p.m. and work all the way till 10 p.m. at night.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I did that for a little bit. And I realized that the pay was very, very low for the amount of work I was putting. I can actually tell you that I was making $55 a month per month in pay as I graduated because again, there's so much supply and the demand was a little is not, commensurate with the supply. And after about 6 months of doing that, I got really frustrated. You can imagine making
Yeah.
$55 a month. I still had to go to my dad and mom to say, can you pay me for gas? Can you pay me for this and that? And I got really frustrated. One day I finally had kind of sort of a mini breakdown and I just blamed everybody. And I told my parents, it's because of you guys. I got into dental. This sucks. Everything is terrible here. My life is over. Right. And then next morning when I woke up, I told my parents, I went into their, bedroom like it was about 7 a.m. and I said, I'm leaving India and you guys are going to get me out of here. Right? It was just one of those things. And funny enough, my dad had just retired from his
Oh
job of
my God.
38 years and doing from a government job as an electrical engineer. And the first question he asked me was, where are we going to find the money from? You want to go to America? Like that's going to cost a lot of money. And I said, I don't know. I don't care. Like I was just so, I said, I don't know. I don't care. I'm going. We're going to
Wait, are
figure
you
it.
the only child? Are you the only
No,
child?
I'm not.
Oh,
I'm actually the second child, right?
oh
And
my God. Oh
in
my God.
hindsight, sounds bratty, but I think that was just me being super frustrated at the time. And
Yeah.
my dad actually, my parents sacrificed a lot. They're really wonderful. My dad actually ended up going and getting a private job after his government job, after he had retired, so he could help me accomplish my dreams and pay for like all my flights and going back. Long story short, I got into NYU. I applied to about 8 dental schools, got into NYU after 2 years of back and forth, coming here, taking exams. I came as an immigrant. I first came as a student and then graduated from NYU from a 3 year program. It was probably one of the best times I had.
Mm,
Just the culture of New York City to just learning a lot, meeting some really big celebrity dentists just really opened my mind. And
mm,
graduated 2014 and kind of never looked back. In hindsight, 400 grand in debt, plus bought a practice 1 year out of dental school, another 500,000, probably had $1 million of debt even before I got started, like
oh
literally.
my God.
But you know
Ambitious.
what? It all's well that ends well, right? It's in hindsight, I'm glad I did that. It was a means to an end. And I've just
Mm,
never looked back. And my wife is a big part of that, Dr. Anushka.
yes.
She's the other, I call her the better half. I'm the other half, right? She's a big part of what we've accomplished together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is an
Yeah.
awesome story.
Thank you.
And I can see you like really taking sections and making it really, really long. Thank you for the brevity. I appreciate that. I'm
Of
sure
course. My
I want
pleasure.
to get into some more of so the entrepreneurial part, you like, I mean, like dentistry is clinical.
Yes.
I mean, I mean, how did you wind up saying, okay, I want to like handle this business? I know part of your ideas about growing is diving into business books, but I'm sure there's some other things that you like to share with us about that.
Absolutely. I think the DNA of just being really good at sales was always in me, right? I always like set up like little, sales cards or like food cards, even in when I was in dental school in India or high school, right? That
Yeah.
stuff I always did that. I always like exchanged a product for money. Like I always did stuff like that from the time I was probably 13 or 14 years old.
Hmm.
So I had that in me, but I think just New York City really opened my mind to what is possible, the endless possibilities that America offers you as a
Hmm.
country. And I owe a lot to America. And I think just coming out of NYU and just also having a pretty driven, ambitious wife who's also very entrepreneurial. I think that when the two of us came together, we just knew that we wanted to do more with our life. I guess then just to, work with somebody else. I didn't have quite the opportunities back then of collaborating with someone or partnering with a dental practice back when I
Yeah.
started, even though my first boss was very supportive, was a good mentor. I just didn't have the opportunities to partner or collaborate. That's kind of the stuff that I wanted to do, is have some skin in the game in any which way possible. When I didn't have that, I left to come start our own practice, which was a small practice, small acquisition, a couple 100,000, needed massive updating. The dentist kind of transitioned out, so he didn't even transition with us, and
Oh,
pretty much didn't inherit any staff. So probably all the goodwill was gone. I didn't know it. We didn't know any better, but
yeah.
took that practice on, took that as a challenge, and grew that to about 1.5 million within 12 months.
Oh,
And
wow.
then realized that there's two of us, and we were kind of getting tired of seeing each other every day. So we are like, we could probably go do this again a second time. That's how we got started. And along the way, we tripped up, made a lot of mistakes. And but the real challenge came when we opened our third location because now there was only two of us. We couldn't be in three places. We were dentists, right? So we went from dentist to being dentist operators, but now you have to think like an owner. So now you have to
Mhm.
go become an owner operator to purely just being an owner and fully getting out of the chair, which is what we did about 6 months ago.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So what did, I mean, so like, what type of classes did you take? What kind of books did you read? What, I mean, like, uh, I mean, obviously you went in, you just jumped in, you jumped into the pool, didn't necessarily see what was at the bottom, but you did it and you were successful. The drive, obviously, with you and your wife, I mean, like having a teammate, man, it's just
Exactly.
the number one thing, number one thing. But I'm going to be quiet because I do want to ask you another question really quickly. But just tell me the business part of that. What generated all of that?
You take on $1 million of debt when you don't know exactly what you're doing, and it really teaches you fast. You learn to adapt quickly. I think I will tell you that that's probably the biggest one, right?
Hmm.
Just having student debt is a big motivator, right? 400
Yeah.
grand in student debt, you
Yeah.
graduated, bought a really sweet car right off the bat. That's another 50 grand. I bought the car when I had like probably $800 in my bank account. Again, great. It's one of those 10x moments. If I think back, like I'm glad I did that, right? It could have
Oh.
gone the other way too, and then it could have made me look really stupid. But and then taking on practice debt is really that fuel sometimes that you need to figure stuff out. When you have $1 million, you have a lot riding on the line. And so that's the number one thing. Number two, my wife and I are serious learners. Like we like to learn, uh, so much so that we haven't stopped learning at all. We just took a lot of business courses, a lot of clinical education courses. One of the things that I find is we get none of the business management courses in dental school, and that's the reality of where
Right.
we maybe had one class in practice
Yeah.
management, and that was average at best, right?
Mhm.
I think sometimes dentists get mixed up with, hey, I'm going to go take all these business courses. But I think we have to learn to be really good clinicians first. Because when you learn
Yes.
to be a really good clinician, you also learn the business side of things, right? That's
Good
truly how
point.
I look at it. Because
Mhm.
you go and look, most of these heavy hitting clinicians are actually good business people. They've really got that figured out. At least they can get their own practice, even though you're working with your own hands. I know the definition of business is where when you don't have to trade your time as much, right? I get that piece. But when you can work with your own hands and still go do a couple $1 million in a practice, that's a good business. You can have a lot of cash flow and still do really well for yourself. Um, so I think lots of business courses, lots of books, lots of Think and Grow Rich, like Napoleon Hill type books, just being able to
Yes.
think bigger,
Mhm.
to some stuff from Grant Cardone on the sales part. I like that stuff. To um, books from Elon Musk to just business, how when things went awry, like Enron, right? Like all of those things have been instrumental in shaping, probably my business career.
Okay. All right. So then a number of things just come to mind when you bought that car. Bought the car. I mean, had $800 in the bank, but that's gold compared to what you were doing over in India, right?
I'm like,
So
I made it. I'm rich.
right. Oh my God. So that was the motivation there, right? So
That's the
tell
motivation.
me, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, please.
I wanted to find out so I'm switching gears just a little bit.
Yeah.
What did I mean, okay, so you have the business to, acumen together. You have your number one teammate with you. Both of you are grinding. Okay, so you've reached a point where, you have to bring in these associates. Uh, and training them, mentoring them up. How was that like? What was that like?
Not easy. That was definitely not easy. I'll tell you, we had a moment probably in 2022, mid 2022, where we were practicing at a pretty high level, producing a couple $1 million each. Life was good, to be honest, right? We were practicing at a high level, income was good, but I think we wanted to do more. We knew we could do more with our lives, and we wanted to impact more people and more dentists. And
Yeah.
I remember it was when we were probably sitting and grinding down a denture from this like really pain in the butt patient who had come like 10 times, hurts here, just kept grinding and grinding the denture. And it was in that moment when I realized, man, I don't want to probably do this for the rest of my life. And
Mm,
my wife was happened to be in the same practice that day, and she said, neither do I. We made that decision that day to say, we're going to scale our business and we're going to bring in more dentists. 6 months from there, from that day to 6 months on, we brought in four dentists as associate dentists. And
mhm.
because we scaled ourselves down chairside a little bit, went from maybe like 5 days a week to like 3 days a week, so we could invest in these dentists. And as they scaled up, as they ramped up, we went and hired another five dentists. So that
Oh,
allowed
wow.
us to cut back another day or so, and then eventually to where we were only a day a week in the chair, but we now had about 13 to 14 dentists. And finally, that was enough mass for us to say, we're going to fully pull out of the chair so we can now take the business to the next level. We're also going and like I was telling you, we are lifelong learners. We plan
Yes.
on being so much so that we are starting an MBA at Booth, this executive MBA at U Chicago Booth this year. Uh,
Oh,
in the next,
congrats.
it's already
Right, you
pre-course.
gonna be right here in Chicago?
Yeah, we're Chicago.
Oh my goodness.
Are
Yeah,
you
we're gonna have
Chicago?
I am. I'm in Evanston.
Evanston. I live right in the city, so we got to hang out.
Oh,
We got to meet up in
great.
person,
That'd be
right? Yeah.
great.
I didn't know you were
Yeah.
Chicago. So yeah,
Yeah,
we're
I didn't
starting
think of
that.
it either.
We're starting that, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. The next couple of years are going to be interesting. We're going to be very busy with our executive MBA, but at the same time, we're going to be scaling our business big time and doing more M&A. But it made sense for us to have some structured learning around mergers and acquisitions and entrepreneurial finance. We like structured learning because again, that's how we became dentists as well. So that
Mhm.
kind of ties in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, how long did it actually take you to actually scale these dinners up from, you had an A group, then you had a B group. Did you have a C group as well?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
We
four, and
did
then
this in three waves, yeah.
yeah, yeah, okay. So, all right. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna assume that the first group gave you enough to really look at the fifth group with another through another lens and bring them up a lot quicker than you did maybe the fourth group. I mean the first group. So you tell me, I don't know.
Yeah, our first set of dentists are still with us. We hired them about like 4 or 5 years ago. They're still with us where they want to become partners in the business. So
Oh,
they're here and it's those dentists that really gave us the stability. I think I would say phase one is more stability, creating that
okay.
stability so all the revenue doesn't depend on the owners, right?
Yes.
To bring in all the revenue in the business. So they gave us
Yeah.
that confidence to say, let's go to phase two and bring in more dentists because we have
Mhm.
some stable revenue plus us. Of course, we're still in the chair, but it doesn't now the business just doesn't only depend on us. Phase two
Mhm.
was bringing in, 3 to 4 more dentists. And now this was going to help the company bring in more revenue, which means better talent into the business to
Mhm.
be able to support them. And phase three was essentially, okay, we've got a baseline talent pool, we've got the dentist. Now we need to come up with systems that we can scale, that we can nail it before we can scale it. And now that
Mhm.
means having processes in place, standard operating
Yes.
protocols, doctor process
Yes.
hygiene protocols to really
Mhm.
take that next level of growth in order to do that. So we've been spending a lot of time on our playbook in the last year or two.
Mhm. So this is off the subject just a little bit. I know you're talking about putting pieces in place. A lot of it is, you're writing this information out because you want people to, I mean, you want it like McDonald's, if you will,
Right.
university. Uh, I just spoke with a doctor last week that said most dentists' offices do not have the same type of emergency equipment, particularly for sedations, that a major hospital would.
Mhm.
And I don't know what are your thoughts about that? Because he said that, like we're losing about a patient a day, death wise.
Death-wise.
Yes.
In a dental practice?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Because because these safety measures are not in place. And I don't know
Hmm.
what would be your thought on that?
I don't know the exact data, but knock on wood, I mean, knock on wood, we've never lost a patient like that in the 10
Right,
years I've been in business, right?
right.
I can see that, yeah, as dentists, we aren't fully equipped to handle like these life-threatening emergency stuff, right? And I know sometimes as dentists, like when you offer sedation or general anesthesia, you've got to be bringing the right
Yeah.
specialists on board in order to be able to do that. Um,
Yes.
but I don't know that there's data where they're losing that many patients. Because dentistry is generally considered lower risk for, you know, because we aren't doing anything that really like can of course, if when you're doing more extensive surgeries like implant dentistry, full arch surgeries, you've got to be careful, right? You've got to like really cross your T's, dot your I's. But otherwise, general dentistry, you just got to, of course, you've got to, take on a physician's perspective and make sure people's blood pressure and all of those things are checked before. And if you can do those things and check those boxes, for the most part, I think you're going to be okay.
Okay. Yeah, because I was kind of alarmed. I was like, oh my goodness, what kind of questions do you ask when you go into uh these offices, these dental
Right.
offices? And you're about to get put to sleep or use some kind of sedation. I mean, like, what do you ask them so that they make sure that they have the protocols in place so if something does go wrong, they have it. Their team is ready. Whomever's doing this know exactly what they're doing, and they have these other people to pull from. So I mean, I thought that was an interesting conversation. Um,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, and something that and I agreed at the end. I just like every dentist need to have this in place. Every dentist throughout the community need to really
Right.
have
We
that.
definitely need to carry first aid kits, right? And just make sure we have our emergency kits. I think sometimes dentists probably don't take this stuff seriously, right? Like that's something
Yeah,
to take very seriously. Every practice has got to have an
yeah,
emergency kit at the minimum, right? Which
yes,
it's got
yes,
all the drugs, emergency
yeah,
drugs, including
mhm,
epinephrine.
mhm,
But I see that because I bought quite a few practices in the past now, in the last 8 to 10 years, where those dentists that were retiring, they didn't have emergency kits, they didn't have first aid kits, and
yeah.
somehow those dentists always got away with stuff. It's when you follow all the rules, and sometimes you can still get in trouble. It's that it says something.
So that's the thing, because a lot of the stuff he said too, and I'm gonna leave this alone after this. Uh, a lot of what he said, he says a lot of it's not being reported.
Absolutely. I completely
You
agree with
know,
that. I'll tell you a
so I
funny
thought
story,
that was
Ward.
it.
I'll tell you a funny
Huh?
story. We bought a practice. I think this was our third or fourth location when we bought this. And we inherited the team there as well. And the doctor transitioned with us for about a few months. He was very nice. He's very nice. We got along great. And when we asked the team, our other couple locations had very updated OSHA and HIPAA binders. And
Oh,
when we asked the team, the practice manager there, like a couple months in, like, do you guys have OSHA and HIPAA binders? She brought in an OSHA HIPAA binder, which had collected a lot of dust, and she hands it to us. We open it, and it says 1991, and this is
oh
like
my,
2018.
oh my
And
God.
we said, okay, this says 1991. Where's the latest one? She said, no, the doctor told us we were grandfathered in. It was like the most hilarious thing. Like, I'm like, oh, there's
Oh
no
my
such thing as
God.
being grandfathered in. This is OSHA and HIPAA we're talking about, right? So,
Yeah. 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 So case in point, there you go, right there. So yeah, let's get back to you. You have purchased all of these offices.
Yeah.
And how many has it been so far?
We have 7 locations with some few in the pipeline right now. Yeah.
And and they're in the immediate area or they're all over the
Chicagoland, yeah, Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana.
that is awesome. So why Chicago?
My wife went to UIC, and when I
Okay.
graduated from NYU, I kind of followed her here. And
Okay.
Chicago is just a great city, right? It's the right recipe for doing business, but also it's an amazing city, great food, great people. It just
Yeah.
felt like more affordable than New York City, than Manhattan, right? It just felt like
Yeah.
the right,
Yeah.
right spot to be in.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. And then you hit Indiana too. Was that Northern Indiana?
That's Northwest Indiana. Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about that. We just went and bought a practice and then figured it out.
Yeah, taxes are great too, right?
Yeah, taxes are good.
So tell me now, you have moved from coming into this country at 23, $800. You're rich. You're rich. But not $1 million. You might have $1 million in debt. Shortly thereafter, 1.5 million. I'm like, my God, this guy just looking for trouble. But man, you all managed to get through with this. And I know people want to get this recipe. What can you, I mean, you said you all work hard, you read hard. What are we missing? I mean, is there anything that you could share that you haven't shared so far?
Um, yeah, I think it's the partner you choose. I think your spouse is a big one, right? I'm going to keep stressing that because that's probably the single biggest decision that you're going to make in your life. So,
That's a good
but
point.
moving past that too, I think we've
Mhm.
always had similar values in when it comes to investing, right? It's not enough to just make money. I just know by definition, you could make $1 million, but if your expenses are 1 million, you're poor, right?
That's right.
But if you can just maintain your lifestyle the same way and not let lifestyle creep kick in,
Yeah,
and just stay in the same house. Like,
yeah,
keep changing cars. I know so many
right.
of my dental friends keep doing changing cars, but buying new houses just because their income has gone up. But you're not really investing and saving for the future that way. You're not building net worth or wealth that way. So we've
No,
always been
right.
conservative in how we like do our life. I could live
Mm,
on very little, and like that's true for
mhm.
my wife and I, but that's allowed us to really and invest and make the right investments, stock markets, S&P 500, and also just
Ah, good.
buy buy some real estate and buy the practices sit on. Stuff like that actually adds more and more and compounds over time. I think that's a
Absolutely.
secret,
Absolutely.
but it's really not a secret.
Yeah, so that's the Warren Buffett mentality, man. Making money over time, letting
Exactly.
things compound. Don't
Exactly.
try to do it all at one pop, because it does not work for most of us. For most of us, but a lot of us want our money like right now.
Yeah, we all want it now, right? And
Right.
that's half the problem, right? Because a lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah,
that even sometimes we hire people that they want everything now and within the next 6 months, but the problem is you've got to put in a lot of time, and especially those people that hit it big. It looks like they're overnight successes, but nobody sees the 10 or 15 years they were grinding their butts off
yes,
to get to that spot,
yes.
right? Then they look like an overnight success.
Yes, right. Exactly. Exactly. So there's a book that I read a few years back. I want to say it, whatever the name of the book was, it had to do, it's called Traction.
Yeah.
And putting the right person in the right seat, finding the right partner. you got a business partner. I don't know which one of you are, both of you, maybe both of you are creative, but somebody is so analytical on your team between you and your wife that, oh man, okay, you handle that and I'll handle this
That's
and
right.
whatever we can need to handle together, we will. I
Right.
mean, this is what this sounds like to me.
Yeah, we operate again, we operate on entrepreneur EOS as well. That's based on traction,
Ah,
right?
yes.
We have complementary skills. We've taken so many personality tests, Colby to DISC to
Ah,
Culture Index, right? Just it's really good to know your spouse first before you start doing it on your team members, right?
wow.
But when we've done that, we've recognized what each other's skills are, and we've really niched down into doing that, right? Because initially, when you take these tests, your mentality is more towards, oh my God, like this is a weakness or this is a good thing or a bad thing. There's no such thing. I tell everybody, we administer these personality tests on a lot of our hires too now, and I always
Mm,
tell them there's not no such thing as a good thing or a bad thing. It's just there just is, right? And it's
hmm
just how you're wired. That means now that you know, you're aware how you're wired, we tend to hire the people that we like or we that are similar to us. But these personality tests have been really good to just hire the people that are right for that seat and not
hmm
necessarily just because we like them and they're like us. So yeah, it's been wonderful.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about business. Tell me about a little bit about the clinical side, the practice that you focus on or was focusing on. Like you were like this arch, what do you call full arch
Yeah,
implant surgeon? And can you talk a little bit about that and what inspired you to do that? Because that's where everybody's headed,
absolutely.
if
I
they're
think
not.
my full true passion is in implant dentistry. I recognize that about 2 to 3 years into practicing. 2014, I started practicing, did a lot of high level GP stuff for 2 to 3 years. 2016, 17, I went and trained myself took a course on implant dentistry, had some great mentors along the way. And then I started taking more full arch type courses. I started scaling that up as I grew it. I incorporated that into my just general practice, being able to do 1Z, 2Z implants, full arch, just overdenture type stuff, more not too overly complex, but it's more simple stuff. And then
Mhm,
as I gained more confidence, as I placed about 7 to 800 implants, I started diving more into fixed full arch stuff where you can give teeth same day to people,
oh,
extract,
wow.
do implants, put them in, in teeth same day, and then convert that into an all-on. They call that an all-on X essentially. Um, I- the last 2 years after I really scaled myself back to 1 or 2 days a week, I actually gave up general dentistry to purely just focus on implant dentistry. And I
Oh,
think that was a lot of fun, but it's also very stressful. I know a lot of dentists always, I hear a lot of dentists even that are new that say, "Oh, I want to do implant dentistry." I'm here to tell them there's a lot of stress involved in that, right? And it's not all fancy and fun as it seems, especially when you have to deal with complications. But
mm,
so you have to consistently, constantly keep training yourself and educating yourself to be better, especially at complications and handling patient expectations. I think that's a big
oh,
deal.
yeah,
So the last
yeah.
couple of years, that's all I did for a day or two a week. I had all of my docs referring to me on a lot of these cases, and I was placing the implants. Now we're training up some of our existing docs because I'm not in the chair anymore. And I also have a specialist who replaced me in implant dentistry. So yeah, it's come a full circle.
Yeah, and something like that when you're practicing um, implants. I mean, like to consider, you said 800 after getting 800. And so, I mean, what type of like is that like years of different patients? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
like that sounds like a
it depends on the pace and the conversion that you have, right? We all have patients in our practices. I often hear dentists say, I don't have those type of patients. I'm here to tell you those patients are right in our practices. We just have to offer it to them and be able to convert them and actually have them do it in your practice because patients would rather do it with you than go a million different places and get the runaround. So I actually never spent a dollar extra on marketing. All I did was convert them at a very high level because the patients were already in the practice, right? Because they come to see the general dentist that already there. So initially, when I trained myself in 2016, I probably started doing maybe 5 to 7, 6, 7, 8 implants per month,
Oh,
which in hindsight, now when I talk to a lot of dentists, it sounds like a lot because I hear dentists say, I placed 20 implants all year. I'm like,
that's
okay,
what I was going to
yeah, yeah. So started doing 5 to 7 implants a month and then just scaled that up every year as I got more and more confident.
get
I was
more.
able to close more and more and more got to a point where I was placing 35 to 50 implants a month for the
Wow.
next 3 to 5 years. And that generally tends to give you a lot of confidence in how to handle
Oh,
these
wow.
complex cases. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. So, if I were to go in and talk to someone about doing some implanting on myself, I would say, the first question is, how many did you do? How many have
Not a
you
bad que
done?
That's not a bad question. You want somebody with experience placing, obviously implants to you, of
Mm,
course, or but um yeah, or somebody trained at a really high level, right? It's okay if they don't have 1,000 implants under their belt, but at least they
mm.
have the right training under their belt to make sure they could follow some protocols that need to be followed.
Okay, so when you say the right training on a high level, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, something more hands-on, right? There's a lot of didactic stuff that happens with implants. Implant
Okay.
dentistry is one of those topics that you got to do and feel. So my
Oh,
advice to probably most young dentists who are coming out or 2, 3 years out is to pick a course that's obviously got some didactic, but that's got a lot of hands-on surgical placements. I know sometimes you have to go out of the country to Mexico or the Dominican Republic because their rules
yeah.
are a little less stringent. But hey, if
Yeah.
that's what you have to do to increase your skills, that's what I did initially. I took a course in the Dominican Republic,
Oh,
3 day, 4 day course, and I placed 20, 25 implants. You don't get to do that, but that gave me a ton of confidence. Yes, I layered that with more didactic stuff, and then I was able to layer that with more full arch clinical hands-on stuff. So that's probably how I would start if personally.
so you had an approach. So and like I mean that I don't know, but is that something that you designed for yourself, or was that something that someone like said, hey, this this phenomenal implantologist you put this process together and you follow his plan and you be here and you have 800 transplants in 5 years. I don't know. Was that something that you created?
That's a really good question, Ward. I think no, it's just what worked for me at that time, right? It's the direction that I moved in. My initial thought was, let me go get training with hands-on. I was able to place 20 to 25 implants in a 4 day course. Then I said my thought process was I can come back, I can pick maybe 3 or 4 patients back to back where they have just one missing tooth, nothing too complex, just something simple, one missing tooth in the back. You don't want to go in the
Yeah.
front, right? Because the front is riskier because people see this
Okay.
stuff. If you mess up here, people can see that,
It's
right?
the
Something in the
deal, right?
back where they're missing a tooth here, missing a tooth here in the back. Place those. Let's start with organically start that way, gain more confidence. As I started doing maybe 20 to 30 of the back ones, I felt more confident with my hand skills, my dexterity. I was starting to get a really good feel for bone, right? Because in dental school, you don't get to handle and manipulate bone as much. We work on the teeth only, but not on the bone. So once I got a good handle on the bone, I was able to say, okay, let me move towards the front a little bit, maybe one tooth, two teeth. And then as
Yeah.
I started gaining more confident, I was like, how do I go ahead and put a tooth part where the restorative part to this? How do I do that? So then at that point, I figured I can go take a hands-on course that can fill in the gaps for me on what I don't know to make me more comfortable. Once I knew that, I went and tried that for 6 to 8 months on patients. Once I found that there were still some gaps in those patients to, where I needed to still backfill for some more education. Then I was able to layer another course. I think generally speaking, that's a good way to do it. I've seen dentists that have all these degrees, dental implantology and FICOI and ICOI, and they get all of these degrees, but they don't have enough hands-on. How do you know if you have all this theoretical data in your head, but if you haven't practiced it, it's a waste of your time and
Waste
money.
of time and money, right?
And patients
I
don't care
agree.
about how much you know. They care about how well you made them
How well
feel,
you do it.
how well you do it, right? So that would be
That's
my
right. I totally agree with you, man. Totally, totally. In so many ways. I have had that same experience in my line of work. And like, man, people like, are you such and such and such? Are you so? Well, I mean, you go find out what these
Yeah.
guys know in these areas, then you be, and
Yeah.
how well can they do what they know? And then you'll think a little bit differently about all these different kind of certifications, this and that.
Yes.
It's just, I mean, I'm
Yes.
not saying not to do the best you can with what you have. I'm not saying that at all. But having all these letters behind your name don't mean nothing if you can't apply any of it.
Exactly. The difference between knowledge and wisdom is application, right? So
Oh, I love it. Yes, sir. Totally. Totally. So, okay, I gotta ask you this question because I'm a lion, right? So I'm looking at this lion behind you, and would that be your logo there?
that is
That
our
is a lion.
logo. You got that. You got it. What else do you see aside from the lion on it?
Yeah. Inside the lion?
There's a lion and there's
That's
maybe it's
you.
another animal in there.
Oh, really? Oh my God, you got me. Oh my goodness. Is that like a baboon or something? I don't know. I don't know what that
That's
is.
a good
God
try.
damn it.
It's a ram. It's a lion and a ram, but
Oh,
fused because I'm a Leo, my wife is an Aries. So we fused the two, and that's why we're called Ario.
that is so creative. Now, who came up with that?
Yeah, but I would say 85% was my wife, 15% was me. So
He's the
as with
creative.
most things.
Oh my goodness, man. That is so cool. I like
Thank you,
that.
man. Thank you,
And then
man.
that design came out like almost like it looks almost like a tooth on I mean the outer side,
That's right.
the outer part of
I
it.
think our vision is that over time we'll just become synonymous with just the logo. We don't even have to say Aereo, just like Starbucks became synonymous with their logo.
Yeah,
Just want to be
yeah,
known by
yeah.
our logo over
Nike.
time. So
Right.
that's really
Yeah.
cool.
I like it, man. It's phenomenal. So okay, so is that an acronym? Ario?
Aereo is
Ario?
just Aries and Leo fused together, Aereo.
Oh, you did say that. Okay. That's that is really cool.
We're not very
Uh,
creative.
how many people think that though? I mean, you probably got people that think of those kinds of things, but you're the first that I've heard you and your wife doing something like that, and then doing a business with it. Oh man, I mean, that is awesome.
Thank you,
So,
man. Thank you.
you're into fitness. You love fitness. You can't enjoy your money if you're not in good shape. Talk to me about that.
100%. But it's funny you said that because I wasn't always into fitness. I think
Yeah.
COVID really like
Oh
had me
yeah.
pause on, just generally how I felt. And I think a lot of people have said this, right? That COVID was the necessary reset for a lot of people to really reflect on their
Yeah.
life and see what they
Yes.
wanted to do. And it's in the middle of COVID that I started getting into fitness because I just wanted to feel really good every single
Hmm.
day. And then I got into weightlifting, which I
Hmm.
consistently do maybe 4 to 5 times a week. But my wife and I,
Awesome.
but the biggest unlock is COVID taught us to walk a lot, right?
Oh
It's just one
yeah.
simple unlock, just walk. So we have
That's
a dog
right.
who's
Yeah.
highly athletic. She's a
Yeah.
little Yorkie, but she can walk miles and miles. So we walk anywhere between depending on the day, anywhere between 3 to 6 miles a day. Just walk.
Yeah. Very
And
easily, right?
it's the best unlock that you can have.
Yeah. I'm with that. I'm just at three. I do three. Sometimes I do six
Three
on
is
a one,
great. Three is
but I
amazing.
average three. Yeah. Yeah, I love walking. Walking is, I used to run, but I said, no, I don't want to do the running anymore. And then I do the swimming too.
It's rough
So,
on the joints with running, right?
yeah,
Walking
exactly.
is just awesome. You get to talk, you get to reflect, you get to think. My best ideas come during walking too.
And from what I understand through the little reading that I've done, is that when, we're using those legs, we're pumping that blood through our veins, through the largest veins in our body, and I mean, like that's keeping the river flowing, if you will, because that's what it
You
is.
you
The veins
nailed
are
it. That
flowing.
is exactly what keeps the river flowing, right? You've got to keep moving. The minute you
Yes,
sit
yeah,
down for 3, 4, 6 hours, I think it's game over.
yeah, right, right. So okay, so now popping back into business, we are so you make the transition out of the business, at least out of the chair. What are you looking at with respect to technology for your team? And what was it before
We
you?
adopt AI quite extensively. So for the team,
Okay.
we use AI at a lot of different levels, from reducing AI coaching on phone calls to reducing some of their admin tasks to accounts receivable side of things, where AI can make
Yeah,
phone calls,
yeah,
outgoing
yeah,
calls, to
yes.
we're about to pilot a AI voice receptionist as well. So anything
That's
we
awesome.
could do to stack tech just to reduce the number of man hours, so to speak, that it's taking so that the teams can really focus on patients and their treatment. I think that's what we really want the teams at the
Yeah.
practice levels to be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, because taking a message or taking information for an appointment, and you're like, yeah. And then so do you all use a robotic voice or do you use a voice of an actual person?
Yeah, we
And
haven't. We're just about to start piloting it. I think
yeah,
it's still an AI voice. I think it's
yeah,
kind of there where, at least for after hours calls or weekends, right? We don't miss those calls, because you and I both know missed calls are very expensive for any business, right?
that's right. That's
So at
right.
least so we don't miss calls, so our answer rates remain high. But then
Hmm.
I think what's going to happen is a lot of the calls will still get transferred to the practice, but at least we didn't miss the damn call, right? At least
Yes,
somebody got to
yes,
it and it got routed to the right person.
yes, yes, yes. So AI is one. Any other particular
Yeah, we use
X-ray
AI in our
equipment?
X-rays as well, right? We use
Hmm.
Overjet for clinicians, especially new grad clinicians who
Okay.
sometimes can, struggle a little bit with diagnosing. So
Oh.
we use AI and X-rays just to make it easier for them to diagnose those early stage cavities. Yeah,
Hmm.
we're on the cloud, where our software is on the cloud, so it's super easy. We
Hmm.
do we use scanners, right? Digital scanners in all our practices. I think
Yeah, yeah.
that's very important. I think that's the direction. We use CBC
Hmm.
cone beam, CBCT 3D machines
Hmm.
for a lot of our practices. So yeah, there's technology galore, everywhere. But again, just as long as it makes sense
Hmm.
and there's adoptability, so people can easily adopt it.
Okay. So then, without giving the secret sauce to your attracting new um, clinicians, what is it that you look for, and um, how do you vet a new clinician, and then how do you get them to like somebody that you're really interested in? How do you, you know, attract and retain them? What are some of the thoughts that go with that?
That's a great question, and a loaded one at that too, right?
I'm
Because
sorry.
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I think this is a really important question, because I think a lot of times I see a lot of practices just hire dentists and they don't check for culture fit. They don't check, they don't do personality tests. I think generally speaking, we because I've hired a lot of dentists now, just painting a really clear picture of what happens in your business is super important and very upfront. And
Mhm.
every dentist of mine that even before I talk to them gets a FAQ that's fully in depth about what we are, who we are, what are our core values, what's our pay percentages, what's your compensation to, what are some benefits. All of that stuff is already sent to them. I think that's a big thing. And then
Mhm.
once they read that, only the people that are actually excited by the vision of your company will then make it to the second stage. I think
That
it's just
makes
the process
sense.
of vetting them out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
As
yeah.
opposed to trying to convince them to come in. I think that's the big difference.
Yeah, yeah. So you give them an opportunity, an opportunity to walk out on their own, uh, giving
Absolutely.
them the cultural piece, uh, showing them what you all are about, and do you fit? Do you think you fit? Then prove it. Prove it. How do you
Exactly.
how
And
do
by
you
the time they
know?
get into a phone call with us or a in-person meeting, they know so much about your company, you can tell that this is a more serious candidate as opposed to just somebody you immediately just got on a call with, knows nothing about you, and now you're trying to convince them on why they should come here. Doesn't work out. I've done that. I've been guilty of doing that myself when I started out, but just a lot of upfront information is essentially to weed the wrong people out, in my opinion.
Hmm. Hmm. If there was something that you would do over in your career, what would that something
Hmm.
be?
I would probably I probably just there were a lot of practices that I passed on in the last few years.
Mm.
Just again because I was being selective. I think in hindsight, I probably would have bought those if I had to redo those again, bought and then moved because progress over perfection is always better in terms of momentum, right? So probably the only thing, but also I like the way I can't say that I don't like the way we've grown. We've grown very intentionally. Uh,
Mhm.
and I don't really care. It's not about the number of locations. I have people, we go into these dental conferences, and all everybody asks you is, how many locations do you
I mean,
have?
yeah, right.
I'm like, I don't care about that, right? It's like,
Yeah.
are you happy? Are you feeling fulfilled? Have you been able to actualize your goals? Are you building your network and your net worth along the way? I think those are more important to me.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yes,
I probably could have gone even faster than this. That's the one thing, but in hindsight, things have worked out just okay, just great.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would you tell the young dentist that's coming into the business today? What is some of the things that they need to take a look at as they're moving through their career?
I think I think the new grad dentists that are coming out should really focus on, can I become a really good dentist first before starting to jump into, hey, I want to do implants? I think I hear this a lot, and I want this to be very clear. Everybody comes out there like, I want to start placing implants, but they don't know the bad and the ugly side of placing implants. It's not just if things go wrong, it's not just a lawsuit, it can be a loss of license, your license. So
Mhm.
I think that would be my first thing, first advice. Second would be, uh, choose a place where you can actually do all kinds of dentistry, right? A lot of times I find that new grad dentists they don't want to drive 30 or 40 minutes, which is nothing, but they want to live downtown and they want to go work in a practice downtown. Not that practices downtown don't have the kind of dentistry you want to practice, but the reality is you and I both know that practices downtown have patients that have more stable mouths, right? They don't need a whole lot of care. So these dentists spend 2, 3 years wasting their time not honing their skills, where they could be in the more suburban areas where there's a ton of need and they can practice all types of dentistry. Those would be my two big nuggets.
Wow, that is so valuable. That's so valuable.
Yep.
Now like, I don't know if you thought, I'm sure you probably have, you or your wife, one of you probably already thought about it. Man, you need to write this down. You know, this information you put in, uh, your experience in going into um, full arch implants. I mean, that whole story needs to be put down.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I really
You
do. Yeah,
know,
I will continue to zone in on
yeah,
LinkedIn, putting pen to paper. Hold me accountable.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Right. Well, Dr. Nur, so is there anything else that we missed that you would like to tell the listening public before we come to
No,
a close?
this has been a great podcast. I think you've asked really, really insightful questions. Thank you for having me on the show. And this has just been such a fun time. And the breadth and scope of all the questions you asked, from personal to professional to all of that, was just perfect. Keep it up. Continue to do a great job, like how you're showing up, Ward. We need dental needs more people like you, and happy to, support in any which way we can as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Doc. I really appreciate you coming out. Uh, Dr.
Nagaraj,
Nagaraj. Dr. Nagaraj, I
you got
got
it.
you. Got you.
You're gonna get
Right.
it.
Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, man. This was a great conversation. And the Wealthy Dentist podcast is built on connections, opportunities, and meaningful conversations that help jumpstart careers and boost the ROI on your business. Is there a topic you're passionate about, or someone in the dental community who should share their story with us? We want to hear from you. Email your suggestions to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast at gmail.com, and let's create content that informs, inspires, and uplifts the dental world. Your ideas could spark our next big conversation. Let's make it happen. I'm Ward Powell, your host at the Wealthy Dentist Podcast, thanking you for being a part of our journey.